Talk here is when the captain announces something. I hope you had a fantastic day. So, very briefly, we have a few more minutes. Yes, we do. Dinner is not ready right now. And some few things here. Let's see if you're geographically literate or perhaps geographically challenged. Who knows? So, you know, we all talk about Antarctica, but truly it's a huge continent. We only see a bit of it, enough to be in love with it and be so passionate for us. Some people have come more than 100 times. I mean, look at Brett. Ooh. Anyway, so, but it's a huge area of the world. Think of a continent you might have been to. If you go to Africa, it's the same to be in Cairo or in Cape Town. North America, you know, way up in Alaska or down in the south of the US. So it's very unfair towards Antarctica to say, it's just Antarctica. It must be all the same, full of ice and penguins. Well, there are differences within that. First of all, a map, we know it's a huge area. We're only exploring the tip of the peninsula and the Shetland Islands. Which way is north on this map? Yeah, normally on all maps it's up, right? Anyway, why don't we see the map of Antarctica like this? Have you ever seen it?
No.
Or perhaps like that, or like that. Which way is north now? Everywhere. Puzzled faces, stunned silence. We normally see the map of Antarctica like this, because this is totally arbitrary, of course. There is something up here. What that might be? Any guesses?
South America.
The zero meridian, Greenwich, 0 all the way up to the UK, the center of the world. Oh, sorry. So yeah, it's a common and arbitrary thing, and the peninsula is pointing to the left, and this is how we all accepted to see the map. So very briefly, a few things. I'm going to go running through here. Now, Antarctica is famous for the penguins, but there's something even more fulfilling Antarctica. I mean, more relevant, let's say, to Antarctica. Most famous are subantarctic, by the way, and it's the ice. Antarctica holds the largest amount of ice in the world by far, 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 far. Today we had a lecture in the morning. Many of you were outside, it's fine. You can catch up in TV. But I was talking about the amount of ice which holds Antarctica, and some of you came and asked later. So there are two ice sheets in Antarctica that have been around for several million years, East and West Antarctica, and they do have a lot of ice. Antarctica was once connected in a supercontinent called Gondwana. I believe Daniela, our onboard geologist, spoke about plate tectonics and drift of continents. So basically it acted as a hub. And since it's achieved its current position, it has been isolated, and here things stick together and tie together: oceanography, geology, weather, blah, blah, glaciology. And because of the presence of the Southern Ocean and these cold waters that Sean explained yesterday, it has been isolated, thus becoming colder and colder and colder, thus permitting the existence of such an incredible amount of ice. So, in terms of the continent, the 5th largest continent in the planet, it is the windiest, the coldest, the driest, and check this one out, at the same time the highest and the lowest. Where's the mistake there? Is there any? Any ideas? How could it be the highest and the lowest at the same time? Well, the highest, if you take into account the top of the ice sheets and you walk around the snow and there's ice, it has areas of 3,000–4,000 meters above sea level, an average height of over 2,000 meters, 6,000 feet, which makes it the highest. For geologists, ice is also a mineral, so it's arguably, where is the continent? Well, on top of the ice or below the ice? And that is open to debate. Now, it's the lowest at the same time, because if you remove the ice, the land on which that ice is sitting and resting has been depressed by the tremendous weight of ice, 800 meters, and many parts of Antarctica are below sea level, right? So, 99.7 covered by ice, 0.3 is free of ice. That makes you understand why penguins fight so much, and they're, ooh, where is the ice-free ground to nest? Now, we're up here in the peninsula and in the Shetlands. That figure will rise 10 times. So in the peninsula where we are traveling, it's 97% covered in ice, so 3% is free of ice. The ice sheet has an average of over 2,000 meters of thickness, the maximum thickness, and by the way, the maximum in the world of ice is 4.7 kilometers, 4,700, around about 5 kilometers of ice. That's the depression of the crust, which is floating over the mantle. And of course, it has great influence in the weather of basically all the planet. very cold area. By the way, the lowest recorded temperature in the world, minus 89 Celsius. So if you take a profile, this is what you see, the two ice sheets, and this is sea level. What's black is the land masses, and you can see a lot of it is below sea level. Very quickly, some of the geographical aspects of Antarctica. This map here shows you the elevation. The whiter areas are higher above sea level and obviously have a greater accumulation of ice. As you go towards the periphery of the continent, the pressure, so basically you can think of Antarctica as a big dome, very flat, with a dome shape towards the center. This also has to do with the fact of the continentality of the weather and climate, which as you go further inland, you will have great extremes and of course colder and less influenced by the ocean. And this one, never mind the text here, but this is very interesting, coincides, but it's not showing thickness nor elevation, it's showing speed velocity of the ice. So basically, how fast does the ice move? Well, in some areas in blue, very little, hardly moving. Once again, as you reach the periphery, you have glaciers and ice streams, which are bringing the ice from the center of the ice sheets into lower elevations, into sea level, pouring out into the ocean, and some areas moving over 1.5 2 kilometers per year, which makes glaciers move 5-6 meters a day. And other parts, they move very little. Precipitation. So Brent just mentioned and showed you a picture of penguins under snow. Yep, absolutely. But I said a minute ago, it's the driest continent. Once again, you can't judge the whole continent by what's happening up here. So as you go to the center, it is a polar desert. Indeed, the driest place as a continent in the planet. Yeah, the Atacama Desert has that local area drier than other parts of the world. As you come to the periphery, so that's under 50 millimeters of rainfall, which of course is not rainfall, it's snowfall. And then as you reach the periphery, over 200, which is still pretty dry. Now, the tip of the peninsula and the Shetland Islands are of course a little bit more wet and much more influenced by the ocean. This is what happens under Antarctica, under the ice sheet. There is a network of rivers and lakes, which are liquid, believe it or not, and this has been in the news recently because of scientists of several nations drilling through the ice, trying to reach the water to find what was happening there, water that had been isolated for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, and it's very interesting to learn what's happening there. This is a map of Antarctica. If you remove the ice, so if you thought you're doing a continental landing on the peninsula, well, think twice. There's a bit of mumbo-jumbo there because all this is a network of land connected by ice. This is rather utopical on the other hand, because if you remove the ice, where does this ice go? To the sea. So the whole sea level will change. And on the other hand, this landmass will rebound because it's free of the weight of ice. So nobody's saying that this is happening soon. More on Antarctica, ice shelves. These colored areas along the coast represent masses of glacial ice which exceed the land on which you're standing, and they just project over into the ocean and they're floating. This is what an ice shelf looks like, and they produce gigantic monster icebergs called tabular icebergs. If we get lucky, we might see some of them sailing. That's what the ice shelf looks like. Very quickly, this show you what happened not long ago, several times, in very short periods of time, huge areas that had been covered by ice shelves for thousands of years, in just a period of a couple of days, broke off. Just to finish here, once again the peninsula, some of the facts which are exclusive to the peninsula that make it different to the rest of the continent. So it runs about 1,800 kilometers in length. These lines show you the mean annual temperature. So look at this. We are not in such a terribly cold place up here. Today we had more or less the mean annual temperature, which is 32 Fahrenheit. Of course, as you go further south and as you go inland, it will be pretty much colder. Exposed rock, 3%. And this is just a way of making you think when you're on this area, moving around the next couple of days, when you look around, think of it as a place where the rarest commodity is snow and ice-free terrain, which is great because I get to speak about the ice. Thank you very much.